Okay, this is going to be a busy Tuesday video report, so if you think I normally talk fast, hold your hats. Okay, yesterday, Monday's video report. I had a couple of games, 3 games, in fact, that I had opinions on. How did they do? Well, I was right on the money with the Bills, way off base with the Eagles, but again, I was on the fence with that one, and there's a reason that you never bet with your heart, instead with your head. And being a lifelong Eagles fan, I hoped the Eagles would win, but clearly that team cashed in its chips weeks ago. And then in college basketball, I told you that Iowa, a team that was 0-4 on the road, but I had been backing at home, I thought that Minnesota was a fraud, and you saw what happened last night as the Hawkeyes finally earned their first win on the highway and took care of business against the Golden Gophers. Now, unfortunately, the official free plays in the NBA with the Pelicans and the Golden State Warriors both took it on the chin. But I got to tell you guys, my NBA best bet again cashed last night. Top rated 15-time NBA best bet winner, number 14 out of 17 over the past 8 weeks. Another easy winner. As I continue to ride the Utah Jazz, you should be riding them too. A 7-point choice by 27 over at Indiana. Again, one of the best handicapping scenarios you can follow. One of my go-to traits, metrics, taking or going against a team on the second leg of a back-to-back. The ideal scenario, the Pacers were in it last night. They had lost the night before at Denver. On the road once more, they just didn't have it, and a red-hot team in the Jazz prevailed. FYI, my best bet tonight, I'm going for top-rated 15-time hoops winner, number 21 out of 31 over the past 8 weeks. 22-point college basketball rebound route. This team is coming off 2 very disappointing losses. I think tonight they kick some ass, and guess what? It's the half price play of the day using coupon code HALF, H-A-L-F. I know it's very original, isn't it? I've got a number of college complimentary releases coming up in just a moment. But first, I want to address something, one of the regular commenters down below. And by the way, you can always leave not only comments, but I opened up the forums for you guys to leave your top plays on a daily basis. And so you guys can comment on each other's picks because you have valid opinions too. You're not watching this because you want to see whether or not I use Just for Men, which I did today, and for any other reason. I mean, it is a gambling forum, so take advantage of it if you'd like. But listen, one of the guys wrote in, and I wanted to address a couple of subjects here. One guy mentioned whether or not he felt loyal or not buying at DeMarcosports.com as opposed to some of the other sites that I'm on. Let me just clarify something. There are a number of sites that I'm on. DeMarcosports.com, AlDeMarco.com, WhoWillCover.com, SportsAdvisors.com, The Sports Advisors. They are all the same exact site. Every single handicapper you find at those sites, they're all the same. Because Steve and I, who own the company, we own every single one of the handicappers. You will not, unlike most guys in this business who sell multiple plays, different rated plays at multiple sites because they work on a commission basis. We have never operated in this way in the 22 years since I created this site. Every single handicapper is exclusive to us. So if you go to DeMarcosports.com or, for example, The Sports Advisors or WhoWillCover.com, same place, same handicappers, same exact prices, because they all work exclusively for us. The reason we have multiple sites, just to explain it to you, is that, for example, years ago when we had a deal with FoxSports.com, the Sports Advisors was an affiliate site. There's just numerous sites for affiliate purposes so they can track whether or not they are producing for them and making them a share of money. It's just the way it is. Another question. A guy asked, mentioned that he had bounced from handicapper to handicapper. Is that a wise decision? That's a damn good question, guys. Let's say that you are committed to one particular handicapper. There's 2 schools of thoughts here, okay? And let me give you my opinion on it and how you maybe should consider it. First of all, if you're at our site and you are a customer and you have purchased a 30-day package, and I realize a lot of guys come in and they initially buy a 7-day package. Well, FYI, if you buy a 7-day package, that automatically earns you a $50 discount towards a bigger package. If you buy a 30-day package or bigger, once every 30 days, you can switch handicappers. So if your guy is losing, you can move to somebody else. But, and by the way, you do that by simply contacting customer service. So again, once every 30 days, if you're involved in a handicapper's long-term package, you can switch to somebody else. Now, are you always chasing the rabbit? It's an interesting philosophy. So, listen, I'm heavily involved in the stock market, right? I manage. I always tell. I have. How do I say this? So I have because of, I'm my age as I've gotten older. I'm heavily leveraged in fixed annuities, variable annuities, fixed income, CDs, et cetera, especially with rising rates. But then there's a portion of my portfolio, I call it my gambling portfolio, high six figures, which I call it my gambling portfolio, okay? I use the same metrics I do for handicapping games I do for handicapping the stock market. But I do not day trade. I do not subscribe to the fear of missing out, FOMO regime that a lot of gamblers do. I don't jump on the hot stock that has a huge gain. If Microsoft goes up 17 points today, I don't immediately go buy Microsoft. And I think that you, as a gambler, if you happen to be a customer at our site, you have to be leery of the same thing. Everything is cyclical. I've said that to you 100 times over. So the winningest handicapper at our site, hands down, right now, is Rick Torino. I mean, the guy is just on an amazing roll, as I've continued to tell you. Just go for 3-0 sweep this weekend in football. Since August 1, $10 bettors are up $22,720. That's wins minus VIG, wins minus losses minus the VIG. I mean, 6 months plus, right? Sooner or later, it's going to end. I can't tell you. I don't have a crystal ball here. Do you jump on him now? Do you pull out like I do sometimes on stocks that have given me a tremendous gain and jump to somebody else? It's so hard to tell. Bandwagon jumping, it's so difficult. Don't know what to tell you there. I can't advise you on that. So the gentleman that asked, I can't give you an answer because I've seen it work jumping before the streak ends. But when does the streak end? I mean, if you had said, my God, Rick's been on an incredible roll 3 months ago and left, you would have missed the last 3 months of profit. Then there's another piece of advice. Not every handicapper is good in every single sport. That's just the facts of life. I mean, there are some guys that couldn't handicap basketball if their life depended on it. There's other guys that excel in football, do well in basketball, can't win in baseball, where I can roll out of bed and pick baseball winners. That's why if you're on the site, it's so important to read the middle of the page, the daily promos, which I do every single day. It takes me hours to put that together because I will highlight not only what guys are doing long and short term, if they're on streaks, but in particular sports. I just don't have the answer. I can't tell you if bandwagon jumping is a good thing. That's why half the customers at our site, more than half of them, buy the all access pass, where they get all the handicappers either for a day or for a long-term period so they can judge them themselves, all the full-time handicappers, and others will commit to a single handicapper for a 30-day period, knowing that once every 30 days they can jump. And you say, oh my God, well, a 30-day package like for Rick Torino is $479. Not really when you think about it, because every Saturday I give a 24% discount coupon, which brings his price down to like $360, which means over 30 days, it's like $12 a day. So I hope that answers your questions. Again, there's no right answer and there's no right guidance I can give you. It's gambling. There's no guarantees. Okay, let's get to your complimentary place. It took me forever to handicap this damn card today. By the way, interesting stat. Home teams in the top 7 conferences are winning about 68% of the time. This is according to evanmaya.com. He is another statistician. I use kenpalm.com. This guy he's got a PhD. He does statistics. A lot of sites quote him. I just think it's very interesting. Again, home teams in the top 7 conferences are winning about 69% of the time. Listen, 12 ranked teams lost on the road last week. Houston lost twice, okay? The past 2 seasons, it was about a 61% clip. So just something to consider. First one, I'm going to go with Indiana State, a team that I have fell in love with last year and made me a ton of money. I've used them a couple times this year. They're minus 12 and a half at home in double revenge against Missouri State. The Bears swept them last year. Now, Indiana State is 14-3 straight up, 7-0 at home. Yes, they have lost 7 of their last 8 straight up against Missouri State, going 2-6 ATS in that stretch. But this is a damn good shooting team. Number 1 in KenPom in effective field goal percentage at 61.1%. Second in three-point shooting percentage overall this year at 41.2%. Third in field goal percentage overall among 336 D1 teams at 41.2%. Number 8 in scoring among all D1 teams at 86.4%. Missouri State's 2-5 on the road. I just like Indiana State in this particular spot. I am going to go as well with, let me find another one here. God, I have so many games on a handicap here. Oh, here's one, and an interesting story with you as well. SMU minus 13.5 at home against Temple. Now, SMU is 11-4 overall, 7-2 at home, and outscoring their foes by a point differential of 18.4. The Mustangs have covered 8 in a row coming into this contest, coming off a 75-64 win at East Carolina on Saturday. They've won 5 of their last 6 overall, no matter the location. The only loss was by 3 points at Memphis. Nothing to be embarrassed about there. Meanwhile, Temple is 8-9 straight up, 2-3 on the road. They have 1 win against a team that is ranked in the top 150 in KenPom. 1-7-1 against the spread their last 9 games. They're coming off a 69-51 loss at North Texas on Saturday. So this is the second half of their Texas two-step, okay? They were outshot 47.2% to 30.8% in that game. They were 4 for 18 on three-pointers. They lost their previous game at home to East Carolina, at home, the team that SMU just handily beat on the road. They lost that game at home by 21 points. This is a team that can't shoot straight. They're only averaging 60.4 points a game their last 7 games. They are number 318 in the nation in three-point shooting at 29.9%. And this is what doesn't make sense. Over 45% of their shots come from beyond the arc. And they can't hit those shots. I mean, they averaged 28 three-pointers a game. That's the 20th highest rate in the nation. But they're like the team that can't shoot straight. They also can't hit the ball. They can't hit from 2-point range either. They're 352nd, according to KenPom, in 2-point shooting percentage. Now, SMU, number 1 in 3-point defense. They only allow opponents to hit at a 25.6% clip. You know what I just told you about Temple from the 3-point range, right? Their accuracy. SMU is number 8 in scoring defense, only giving up 61.8 points a game. The only team better, the Houston Cougars. What can I say? I'm going to go ahead and lay the points with SMU. Quick, funny story about Temple. So you know I went to Temple, right? I did Temple college basketball games. I also did what they call summer league games at Temple, which was a legend in Philadelphia, a guy by the name of Sonny Hill. They had Baker League games, and this was college guys playing during the summer. And they also had semi-pros coming in as well. I'll never forget one time I'm doing a play-by-play, and Earl of Pearl Monroe walks in at halftime, takes off his sweats, and plays the rest of the game. I mean, at the time, you had Gene Banks and Lewis Lloyd, who were legends in Philadelphia, who were first round, or eventually went in. Gene Banks was the first round draft pick. I can't remember if Lewis Lloyd was. White Magic and Black Magic, they both had lengthy NBA careers. They were playing, tons of NBA players, top-notch college players were in there. And during the summer, we used to have the option to do the games because we had a Temple radio station, which was broadcast all across the state of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware with a strong signal, and also carried on cable TV, the audio portion of the thing. So I did the games because nobody else wanted to do it, because I was trying to build my portfolio and also get a lot of practice on radio, because I thought I wanted to do basketball play-by-play for a career. So I'd be doing these games, and John Chaney one day just walked in, and like I'm here in the bleachers, there's 18 fans and watching these games, and John Chaney like sits right next to me here. You talk about intimidation. This is a future Hall of Fame coach, and he's sitting here listening to me doing play-by-play. And I'm like, I'd interviewed John, or excuse me, you didn't call him John, Coach Chaney. Okay, interviewed him many times, and he's sitting there, and I'm doing the thing. I finished the game. He never says a word. Doesn't say a word during halftime. Doesn't say anything. After the game, he tells me, by the way, that wasn't a 2-3 zone they were playing. That was a 1-3-1 trap. That's all he says to me, and he walks away. I'm going, okay, he was listening. Intimidation. 20 years later, I'm doing TV in Philadelphia, right? This was like 2011, 12. Coach Chaney comes in. He was always on this program called Daily News Live. He sits down, and when he comes in, he was a regular contributor. He sits down, again, Coach Chaney. He sits down, he talks. You just sit there and you just listen. I keep thinking back to that moment. He's still an intimidating guy when he was like 80 years old. He's since passed, but yeah, intimidating when the man's sitting next to you and you're doing play-by-play. Okay, your final complimentary play. This is an interesting game. Boise State -5.5 at home at Extra Mile Arena, where they have won 8 in a row against UNLV. UNLV is coming off a devastating loss at home Saturday against Utah State. It was a game in which they led start to finish, and Utah State managed to come up with, a 5-point play? Yeah, 87-86, Utah State, number 20 in the nation. They won their 15th straight game with a 5-point play with 8.4 seconds to go. What a devastating loss. So how did they recover going to Boise State tonight? Now, UNLV is a team that is only 8-7, but they have some nice wins. They beat Akron by 2. They beat Creighton by 15. They beat New Mexico by 10. They lost to St. Mary's by 2 in overtime. They lost to San Diego State by 11. They've got 4 guys that are healthy, scoring in double figures, just like Boise does. And remember, Boise followed that big upset at home against Colorado State last week by winning, as I gave you them last Friday, by winning 64-56 at Nevada, snapping the Wolfpack's 8-game winning streak and handing them only their second loss of the season. It wasn't a particularly strong game by Boise, 18 turnovers, but they out-rebounded Nevada by 19. So I think it's kind of interesting because at Extra Mile Arena, the Broncos, have won 22 in a row. 36th in the nation in scoring defense, giving up just 64.8 points a game, 26th in rebound margin at 7.7 more than their opponents, and they've covered 6 of their last 7. So I've looked at this line. It's gone from 4.5 to 5.5 because everybody has jumped on Boise State because of their long winning streak. But I think the more crucial thing is, even though UNLV is a decent team, how do you rebound from that loss? So I'm going to go with Boise State in this spot. So of the 3 plays I gave you, I think that number 1 would probably be SMU, minus the double digits at home against Temple. Number 2 is going to be, believe it or not, Indiana State, because Indiana State is a powerhouse offensively, and they've made me so much money. And then number 2 is going to be Boise State. I think it's going to be a low-scoring defensive game, but those are going to be 3 selections. Again, SMU is going to be number 1, Indiana State is going to be number 2, and then Boise State is going to be number 3. And that'll do it today because I talked long enough and I got other work to do. Good luck, everybody, and I'll talk to you again soon.